time when you felt especially welcomed somewhere? Could be at a church or at someone's home or some other event. Somebody who's willing to share. Tell us what that situation was and what the specifics were that made you feel welcome. Yes?
When I went back to Iowa to visit my aunts and uncles, after probably having been there for 15 years, they were so anxious to see me again and welcomed me into the family home. And it was just like so nice to catch up with them, and they were interested, so it was nice to reconnect after a while.
So they were enthusiastic and they were paying attention to you and to what you.
Right.
Who else has one they're willing to share? Oh. You're like, okay, don't look at me. Anyone? Yes.
I moved here back in April of 1999, and this place had a tendency to flood. I lived right next to a creek. I started working at the shopping center a month later after I moved. Yeah, serious rain going on, so I decided I'd go check on my house where I lived. Turned out the water by the creek by my house was up pretty good. I go in my house to check on my daughter, and I hear a voice in it, and I'm looking, who's this? Turned out it was my landlord's wife. She was helping, putting things up, and she said to me, "We're packing your stuff up, Lisa, putting it on high shelves, and you're going to come stay with us." And I say, "Well, who are you, basically?" She told me who she was. And so we packed everything up, called my boss, told him I wasn't going to come into work, and then we went to their house, which was down the corner. Anyhow, we got settled in, and she said, "I'm going to drive you back to work if you need that." And my daughter said it was okay. So I show up back at work, and he said, "What are you doing here?" She said, "I can come back to work." So she comes to pick me up after work. I stay at their house for dinner, stay the night, about 1 or 2 nights, and as I'm looking out the window, the water is coming from both directions. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, my house is going to be flooded. Woke up the next morning, and my neighbor said that the water receded and the house didn't get touched. I go into my house, I look around, and there's not a drop of water, no sign of flooding or nothing. And I'll tell you what, if that got me to believe in God, that got me to believe in God.
Excellent. So you had somebody who without being asked, without being any action from you, started taking care of you and making plans for how you were going to be safe and making sure that you felt you had resources available. Welcome is something deeper than hi, welcome. And the children with the welcome mat was a great start because that's where we greet people, but it's more than greeting. It's also having some enthusiasm, some gladness around who's coming to you. And you probably noticed in the gospel, welcome, 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 I think 6 welcomes and some giving and receiving, but a lot of emphasis on welcome. We can get stuck, though. We as Christians, we as Lutherans, and I don't even know you, so I don't know what the specific quirks are here, but many of us put all our welcome on our signs. I didn't actually notice one on the street, but your website has an all are welcome, which is one way that we try to express to everybody, come on in. But it also presents some challenges. And one of those challenges is that it's not entirely true. It's not. We say all are welcome, but all of us have some boundaries on that. And there are different boundaries for different people, and there are different boundaries for different communities, but we really do put some boundaries. And in some communities, the issue is all are welcome as long as they behave properly. or all are welcome as long as they behave like we do. I mean, we'll cut you some slack the first couple of times, but, behave in a way that's comfortable for us. Sometimes there are language or ethnic issues. Sometimes there are political differences, and we forget to treat our brothers and sisters, even if we haven't met them yet, as welcome because they disagree with us on some issue that we feel passionately about. Sometimes it has to do with the way people talk about God. We all have them. I'll admit to one of my safer ones, not the deep-seated dark ones, but one of my safer ones is some of you may have been to church once or twice with someone who always has a sour face and just looks perpetually disapproving. I gotta tell you, not my favorite people to go to church with. And so I think all are welcome, but I kind of want you to look like you want to bring me sometimes. I mean, we all have down times, but like you want to be here sometimes, so that I know that's one of my issues. Is that there are people that I am less welcoming to. I will tell you that most, if not all, pastors have had two questions asked of them at different times. One is somebody who has reason to believe that they won't be welcome in your community asks, how do you feel about fill in the blank? Or how does your church feel about fill in the blank? And these are people who have been wounded in other environments, and they want to know, am I really welcome there? Because your sign says all are welcome, or your website says all are welcome, but am I really welcome there? And I believe most of us want to be able to say yes, but depending on what they're presenting, we might be like, oh, I don't know how everybody's going to react. I don't know. The other question that many pastors get asked is, Pastor, how can you give that blank, fill in the blank person communion? Or how can you encourage them to be involved? And again, fill in whatever the blank is for you. But the truth is, some people come and say, yeah, all are welcome except only if they fix this thing, whatever this thing is. So I hope you have something in mind that strikes you personally. Think about the stories of when people have been welcomed. There's a real focus on welcoming that person as they are and being interested in who they are. Because otherwise we get into the next trouble with welcome, which is we kind of think of it as a passive thing often. All are welcome. Welcome there is used as an adjective to describe the other person. If you look at the gospel lesson for today, Jesus says, whoever welcomes me, that's a verb, that's an action. Whoever extends welcome. When we sit around and wait for people to come to us and we say, yeah, we're nice to them when they get here, that is not the same thing as a very active welcome, saying, how do I express to this person that they are invited to be here, that I'm glad that they're here? And this is one of those that, by the way, a lot of us are really good at seeing what other people don't do right. But it's harder to look at ourselves and say, in what ways can I be more active about welcoming people? Because it's not just sitting there and nodding. And I'll tell you, before I was married, and before I went to seminary, I was very active in church, but then I moved to a new community. So I visited some churches, different churches. And I was a single woman in my mid-20s. The churches that I visited had no idea that I had been very active in church and president of church council and assisting minister and, all that stuff that you do when you spend a lot of time in church. And one church that I went to, nobody talked to me. And I will tell you, there was kind of this energy of well, we want to protect our couples and make sure that you're not here to take away anybody's. Nobody said that. Those were not the words. You know? And I had to actually contact the evangelism person to say, I'm more than happy to serve in this capacity. I understand that you want to get to know me better before I'm teaching your children, or something like that, but you know, I'm happy to do evangelism work with you or whatever. And that person welcomed me. The pastor never talked to me until we were at an evangelism committee meeting. And I do believe that this community was welcoming in the way that they understood it, but I didn't feel welcome. So I'm not actually saying that they didn't believe that I was welcome. I didn't experience it. Whereas I've gone to, once I met my future family, this was like a third date. So, and I usually date people longer before I take them to church, but this was a third date. But the widower that I married had 2 kids, and they looked like me. And he said, we're going to church with you. I said, oh, okay. And we're going to a church in our neighborhood because we got this event that we want to go to afterwards. Went in as a very classic-looking family. Oh my goodness, we could not have been more welcome. What do your kids like to do? And I'm like, I don't know, I just met them. but it never dawned on me that because the kids and I look like each other, people just assumed that we were a unit and everybody wants family with kids. Yay, family with kids. Come on in. We'll get you signed up for stuff. And it showed to me that there's this difference in terms of the way we respond to people depending on who we want and why we want them. We were likely going to be bigger donors than when you see somebody single and in their mid-20s. And we were gonna bring some vitality or whatever. But again, I just met them, so I'm like, I don't even know their last names or their middle names. Anyway, it has to do with being intentional about who is this person? What is this person need? And then the last thing that I want to mention about welcoming that this gospel points to is that it is not a trivial add-on. Anybody here ever order things on Amazon and there are little inexpensive things that you can have as an add-on order? Okay, you go to a restaurant and you can add on mushrooms or add on a little add-on. There are times we treat welcome like that. Like, yeah, it's nice, but the real ministry happens in the preaching or the teaching or the yard work or the financial management or the whatever. And it's not the music, I'm sorry, I'm trying to diminish anything. Those, yes, are absolutely important vital ministries. But welcome is not an add-on. Welcome is an equally important ministry. In the gospel, Jesus doesn't say those who welcome in addition to doing other ministry. Those who welcome a prophet in my name. Those who welcome a righteous one will have their reward. Not follow the rules, not say the right things, or get on the right committees, or do the tasks because we really need somebody to do the bookkeeping. Maybe that's not a problem here, but a lot of times we don't have the bookkeepers. Welcome is essential to ministry. Welcoming, being able to welcome, showing hospitality is a gift. It is a critical gift to a community that says, there's something really great here. Come on, celebrate it with us. This is a big deal. Think about something that you, as an individual, I would like each individual to think about, what is one thing that I can do to be more welcoming? And not necessarily even welcoming to the congregation, but being more welcoming to relationships and more welcoming to those who might experience God in that relationship. One thing. What's one thing? And what's one thing that's appropriate to each of your gifts? Some of us, can start a conversation with strangers in the line at the grocery store. Okay, if that's your gift, great. Some people, maybe not. Some people like to do the letter follow-up to those who visit. Some people like to bring something to a new neighbor. Some people like to see when there's a new, somebody who's about to get flooded, and we're just going to show up and help you. What is one thing I can do? Because that is the mission that we're being given. It's not to find out, well, let me check and see if this person really is a prophet. Let me check if this person really is a righteous, because it's also easy for us to get stuck on that. Is this person a righteous one? How do I know? And then the next step is give. Give whatever God has put in your care to give. Because those who give even a cup of cold water to the little ones doesn't necessarily mean children. It means whoever is vulnerable and needs that water. Welcome and give. That is mission. Which again doesn't diminish anything else. But when Jesus went to the cross, when Jesus gave himself for all of us, welcomed us all, and in the confession we hear, while we were still sinners, didn't wait to see if we were any better than we are. Welcomed us into that life of grace. Nothing else required. Allow that welcome to envelop you when you receive the body and blood today. Allow that welcome to claim you. And then go ahead and claim somebody else with that same welcome and same love. Let's sing. All are welcome. I invite you to stand.